What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Unlocking Excellence with your main man, Eric Schwafel. I hope that you're having a great day today. We have a special one for you today, but before I introduce you into what the special podcast is about, I have to let you know what you're going to get when you're coming here. You're going to get keys to success. You're going to get keys of awareness, and you're going to get tips and tricks to help you live a more excellent life. If you want to know more about what being excellent is, there's a great movie called Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure, and that should give you a great idea of what it is to live an excellent life. So today we're going to dive into what I think is going to be a great conversation. If you're watching the video, you can see her, Miss Maria Saia. She and I have known each other for a long time. We worked together way back when I was doing mainly personal training, and we have an interesting story moving up of how we've worked together for the last couple of months. Maria, what's going on, my friend? How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. I've loved working with you. So this is kind of cool that we get to recap and go through what's happened and the growth between both you and I as you started this new venture. And yeah, I'm excited to hear what questions you have for me.
Yeah, right. The ones that, no, I'm just kidding. So me too. It's going to be exciting. Y'all, we've worked together for a few months now. I want to say we're closing in on 4 months. Time is not I'm just really not great with time, y'all. Whenever I think it's a day that passes, it might be actually a week, or I might actually think a day feels like, a month. So Maria, has it been 4 months?
We started right before Christmas, and here we are at the end of April. So yeah, over 4 months.
Oh, wow. It is. That's crazy. And the way that we started was really interesting, y'all. So like I mentioned, we've known each other for a while. I worked at a gym in the past. Maria went to that gym. We trained together for a bit. And then Maria got into the health journey, right? So Maria, tell us a bit about what you do and how you help people. And who
Yeah.
you are, not just about what you do, but who you are.
Yeah. So I am a single mom of 3 as of now. And when I started with my own personal journey, it was because I was in a place where I had totally forgotten how to take care of myself, I put everybody's needs in front of mine, thinking that that was the noble thing to do. And I could keep up with it for a little while until I had 2 babies back to back, gained 80 pounds with those pregnancies, and realized, oh shoot, like I am just not the mom that I always thought I would be. Yeah. I was in a difficult marriage at the time, and I realized, look, if I don't put myself as a priority, no one else will. And I was spinning a lot of plates, and it was like, wow, you can drop plates here and there, but you can't drop the juggler. So I took some steps to get myself healthy. I started with nutrition. By the time I met Eric in the gym, I had graduated or grown to actually love physical activity, which was not the case. I used to be the kid that avoided PE class at all costs. And so by the time we met at the gym, it was a good chapter. I realized who I was, what I could do. But obviously, the story wasn't over. I ended up continuing to grow the business that I had just started as a health coach. And here we are 7 years later, something like that.
Something like that.
And the business that I was just kind of dabbling in back then is now a lucrative, bustling, amazing community of health coaches that I have the privilege to guide and lead. And Eric here has helped me be extremely intentional with how I'm guiding them and how I'm guiding myself. I went through a divorce, which hopefully you haven't experienced yourself, but it can definitely shake you at your core. And so after going through all that, I really saw it as a time to recreate and build back up. And Eric stepped in and really helped me to do just that. So I won't go too much into what has happened in the last 4 months, but it's been fun. So, yep.
It's been a good time, man. That was really good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that was really good. And like reminiscing back different times at the gym. So you had all three babies when we were there, or was it?
No,
Okay. Okay. So
I had the first two.
man, so that's wild. And then now, like y'all heard, she's gone from the gym, and there's so much in between, right? And we're not gonna get a chance to hit on that now, or not now, but you get what I'm saying on this podcast. But man, and what she's doing now and the growth, it's really amazing. It really, really is quite amazing. So you mentioned, right, how you help people and what you do. Is there anything specifically that you want to touch on in the ways that you help people and families, and the way that you change their lives essentially?
Yeah. So I work with clients one-on-one, basically on nutrition, mindset, habit formation. So I have the privilege to use a curriculum with them where we dive in and we look at what their daily habits are and if those habits are serving them or not. We learn about how the brain works when forming new habits. We learn specifically about how they work when forming new habits. It's kind of like you slow down to speed up.
Yeah.
And once you see that formula of how your brain is triggered by different things, and you get to examine if those things are working for you or against you, you then understand, oh, it's not that I'm broken. I'm not a project to be fixed or a problem to be solved. It's that my brain is being triggered by the things around it and the thoughts that I'm having, and it's doing exactly what it's designed to do. And I am in the driver's seat of this, and I can change this. So I do work with people one-on-one, and I absolutely love doing that. And then also I've had the privilege to train health coaches over the last 7 years as well. I think when we were working at the gym together, I want to say I had only had like maybe 2 health coaches that I had ever worked with. And so today, the organization has about, I think it was like 322 or something in it last time I checked. And so through the ripple effect, I didn't personally coach all of those one-on-one, but I am some way, somehow part of the mentorship team of several of those coaches. And I love helping people in nutrition, but I absolutely love helping people create freedoms for their families.
Yeah.
So if that means, an extra $300 to cover dance lessons, great, I'm there for it. If that means replacing an income or retiring a spouse or creating the ability to travel or not have to follow restrictions that they don't agree with, I'm there for that too. So that's my favorite part of my job, is when I get to hear people share what they want, and then I get to celebrate with them when they get it. Yeah. And then I get to hear again what they would do next if they could. And then we get to celebrate that too. And we just kind of keep going. So yeah.
There's such this, it's whatever you want it to make it. It's whatever you want it to be kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like if you want it to be a replacement income, or if you want it to be this, if you want it to just be for health, it has so many different options, and that's so amazing. So like it truly is, right? So what was the struggle, right? Because we had talked a couple of months before that, and we kept in touch all the time, right? Different lives, different things. But with that, you knew that I was making some changes in the gym, and I let you know that the changes that I was making, I don't know if I told the podcast audience yet, but I just wasn't happy in the way that I had been operating things. So I wanted to take steps in order to make that different. And I had been making steps, and my end date really is December 20, what's this year, 2022. So to switch things up almost completely by that time. And what's so wild is not even a couple of months before you reached out to me, that was the intent, right? Because we had briefly talked about it. And so you had reached out and you were like, hey, E, what's going on? What's happening here? And what are you talking about? So what was it that you were struggling with, that you wanted to check out, that you wanted to see, and kind of give us your take on it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was having a hard time finding my motivation again. I knew that I loved what I did, but I found that for several years, I had functioned out of a place of anxiety and fear. And I was in a marriage that was extremely unstable. Before starting the business, I was a stay-at-home mom. So our family income was unstable. And I had gotten really, really, really good at functioning out of this place of scarcity.
Yeah.
And I've shared with you, it was like a paramedic, like, oh, I'm just going to grab all the dead bodies. Like, my feelings don't matter. None of that matters. I'm just going to get it done, which was great. And it built an amazing business and it created a lot of freedoms for a lot of people. But after the divorce, when I wasn't running from what I didn't want anymore, it was like, oh, shoot, well, where's my motivation?
Right.
You know, and I had spoken with you and said, look, I want to change some things up. I don't like some of the stuff that I see myself doing in my current, you know, modes of operation. And I want to create and I want to be excited and I want ideas to free flow and I want to share this vision that I have and this freedom that I have with these people. But I keep going back into this scarcity mindset. Yeah. And I need to make that shift to a place where it's free flowing and it's creative and it's enjoyable again. And I do remember when I started the business was right around the time that I was working with you at the gym.
Yeah.
And I remember each day around
that soon. It was like that. It was that close. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and you would share each morning the stories, like the motivational, I don't know where you got them from or whatever. It sounded like you memorized every single one of them.
Yeah.
And it really just spoke to me mentally. And I've since then have moved to a different city and, you know, yeah, there's a lot of group exercise. There's a lot of personal trainers, but I do remember the mental fortitude that hearing you share created within me when starting the business. And that's kind of what I had in mind of, I want to get back to that place where I was when I started the business, you know, that I'm doing this for the sake of doing hard things. And I'm stepping out and spreading my wings because it's what brings me life and joy. Right.
Yeah.
So when you had said something about like, oh, I think I'm going to go back into more of, I don't even remember what you said or what you called it, but I was like, yeah, do that. So I think I'd asked you like, okay, well, when are you taking clients? Like,
yeah,
you know, and you were kind of like, now I guess, you know.
I remember it was a little wild because I had just done the practitioner training and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this, you know, because it's different type of, it's the mindset stuff. It's dealing with the unconscious, subconscious mind. And so it's one of those like, what does it feel like to navigate in new waters type of feelings? And I was like, freaking, apparently it's time to get it ready because Maria's, you know, reaching out and I, you know, I might look up our conversation right quick just to see, but anyway, I remember telling you like, it's going to be messy and, you know, you'll be my first client and you were down.
Yeah. And I love messy and I like to just jump on things. That's how I started the business that I'm in now. It was very grassroots back then. So we're like, you know, figuring it out. It was kind of like cutting a trail with a butter knife. Like it. So anyway, that sounded great.
It worked out really great too, because it was the transition and some of the stuff that we've worked on, right? It just, everything seemed to be lining up, which was really, really wild to me, but you know, that's just kind of the way that things were going. So were you skeptical at first, you know, dumping into this, but diving into this? Was there anything that was just like, what's going on here? Or what were your thoughts and your feelings before starting this coaching and program?
I wasn't skeptical about starting. I was skeptical about doing some of the things that you were asking of me because it had worked. Like my modes of operation, of scarcity, of fear, of you know, working myself to the bone had worked to an extent, right? Like So then when you told me to rest and to not worry about what the plan was and to watch movies and sleep, and I'm like, wait. But I know what I'm doing here. And I've built a business on all these old modes of operation. Like, so that part really stretched me and grew me.
I'm just
And
thinking, I'm thinking real quick, just to interrupt real quick. I'm thinking, because it was called for, but I think, you know, to somebody who's been operating from this mindset and it's been working and they've been going and this is the way that it's happening, and you know, there's, why would I rest when this is working? And then to hear, because I remember you told me, I think it was a post that you made, one of the first assignments was to take a Sunday off, you know, like to rest on a Sunday or something like that. And
yeah,
I can now, you know, I'm starting to understand now, just like, whoa, how big of a deal it is just to rest if you operate from that 24/7 and in that, you know, kind of go mindset.
yeah. Well, and I had to realize too that though it worked for me, it wasn't really working for me,
Yeah.
because if I didn't intentionally rest, then I would end up scrolling or end up doing things that were less productive anyway,
Yeah.
and end up burnt out because I never took an actual time to rest.
Wait, so
And
you're telling me, listeners, listen up. So you're telling me that scrolling and being on the phone and watching TV isn't real rest?
exactly.
Wow. Did y'all hear that? Just making sure.
I, yeah. And there was something else. Oh, you took my goals and it was like you totally, I'm trying to find a good word for it. Not deflated, not stirred them up,
Ooh.
but you really made me question what the hell I wanted and why I wanted it. And by the end of that process, I was like a little more confused than when I had started,
Mm.
because you made me go back into what this goal meant to me. And I was like, oh,
Mm.
it means I'm helping people. And it means I'm, you know, pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And you're like, well, aren't you already doing that? And I was
Mm.
like, well, yeah. And you're kind of like, okay, well, then you reached your goal. And I'm like, wait, you can't take my goal away from me and then expect me to hit it. Like, so there was a little bit of fear in like, wait, I can't let go of this superficial title or this amount of numbers reached or, you know, actions checked off the box per day. If you take the meaning away from it. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know if any of that makes sense, but
Yeah.
I do feel like my goals were kind of like stirred up a little bit,
Yeah.
to the point where that was hard at first, but then realizing, wait a second, if these goals equal this to me, then yes, I've already achieved them. So therefore, I'm not striving to keep running for something that feels unachievable. Instead, it switched because it's like it was a confidence in what I've already achieved and a
Mm.
desire to do it more, for the
Mm.
sake of the fact that it makes me a better person when I do it more, not because it brings me to a certain rank or number or whatever.
Mm.
Make sense?
Absolutely. So let me see if I'm getting it for our listeners real quick. All right. So what I'm hearing Maria say, right, and hopefully you're getting this too, is whenever we, during the coaching, right? This is during it, so not before. During the coaching, we establish outcomes and goals. And then what happens, right, is as a coach, I want to make sure those outcomes and goals are aligned with your being and with your best possible outcome and the best for everyone's possible outcome, right? That it's not essentially in a place of egoism and vanity and in a place of smallness, right? So a lot of times that takes questioning the goals that we have and examining them, right? Inserting, I wouldn't say inserting doubt, but like questioning, because if you can't question or doubt your beliefs, then it's not a very firm foundation belief anyway, right? Because anything can knock it from what it is. So what it sounds like is we took the goals and we took the outcomes, and what we started doing was really kind of questioning and asking the question, where is this really coming from, and what is it that you really want to get out of it? Like, is this for your own glory? Is this really for helping people? Is this to develop yourself? Just the different questions that come along when asking a goal. Like, is this really for what you're saying it's for, or is it for this reason? And then getting clear on what it is that you're doing it for, and finding what excites you or why something hasn't been clicking. Is that right?
Yes. And what that did is, instead of me approaching new coaching partners from a place of anxiety because I'm not good enough until I reach this goal, instead I came from a place of excitement and a place of surety, and a place of fun. Like,
Yeah.
I liked what I was doing again. I felt confident about what I was doing, and being fun and confident is attractive.
Yes.
So then it worked.
Yeah.
Once that intent was clarified. So yeah,
It makes all the difference, right?
absolutely.
Excellent. So now that was during, right? Was there anything before that got you to say, hey, I'm not sure about this, or like, what are the steps moving forward, whether anything like that?
Um, no, I do feel like I've watched you over the years, and there was an immense amount of trust, and even to the point where I was like, I don't really care what it looks like, just teach me how to think like you think. And I could tell you really had developed over the years. I'm not saying that you didn't have this back at the gym, but just that ability to hold frame and stand firm in who you knew you were and what you knew you were about. And after going through the divorce, I was like, oh shoot, I need to relearn that.
You can
Right.
cuss. I love cussing on the podcast. It's okay.
I'm like, bleep me out later. But like, there were things in your person
Yeah.
that I wanted to learn. And I've been in personal growth and coaching and personal development long enough to know that if you see something in someone, you have to spend time with them in order to adopt it and emulate it. So I mean, there really wasn't much hesitancy. I've always believed in financially investing in myself and in coaching. I've always, heard, put your wallet into your mind and your mind will fill your wallet. So, financially, I didn't really question, the worth or the value. I think that's the thing. There's a difference between cost and value. Yeah. And I knew how much you had already poured into your own growth. Yeah. And I knew what you possessed. Yeah. And so I absolutely thought the value was worth the cost. Right. So that wasn't a big thing. So yeah, no, not really.
Well, awesome. Yeah. And to touch on the value cost thing too, like over the years, now as a business owner and as a coach and a mentor, entrepreneur, et cetera, like, it's literally a roadblock if you allow it to be a roadblock. You know what I mean? Because what we're really paying for in the transaction is the transformation. You know what I mean? And the transformation in any case, and I would say is worth it, because the convenience, the knowledge, the awareness, the understanding that comes with that. So much appreciated. So with that, what was your first big breakthrough with the program and some quick wins? Because now, I mean, we could spend probably a couple hours talking about everything that's gone on, but for the sake of, I think this is going to be part one of the podcast, we're definitely going to have you back. What would you say were a couple of those first big breakthroughs and quick wins that you experienced?
Yes. So there's wins on paper, the numerical trackable wins, and then there's ones not on paper, and I feel both are just as necessary. Yeah. So let's just start with the ones that aren't measurable. I watched movies. I painted paintings again.
So just so the reader knows, what's you said again, so what was that time difference between not watching movies and not enjoying that time, and maybe not painting or having those days like we've talked about painting, or those periods of time where you're able to be in your flow?
Yeah, I don't think I had really stepped into that creative place probably in about 10 years. Because I used to love painting. I then made a business out of it. And then realized that it wasn't as lucrative as I wanted it to be, and went on to other businesses. And I've been with health coaching for 7 years now because I love it. But
Nice.
Painting for the sake of painting, not caring how much somebody's going to pay for it, not caring how many paintings I could get done that day, not caring who's going to think what of it, that place, it had probably been a good 10 years. The movies, I have 3 kids, so there has been several animated movies playing in the background of life, right? But to actually sit down and analyze and take notes, because I can't turn that part of my brain off, with a good movie and follow a storyline and really get into it without checking my phone or without worrying that I could be doing something more productive right now, that I would say probably along the same timeline, a good 10 years.
Wow.
Because I just had trained myself over the years to count my time like money and budget it super, super strategically. I had to, that was the survival mode that I was in, and it paid off, but I don't need to live there anymore. So that's what this taught me.
That's so important, y'all. Make sure that you hear that, right? Even if it's the little 15-second back, like, she did that, it worked, but she doesn't need to operate from that place anymore. Like, a lot of times we keep trying to put the square peg in the round hole, and the round hole is too small for the square peg, and it goes in a different spot. So know when you have to switch things up and, do what you got to do with that. So that's huge. What are some other breakthroughs that you've had and some wins?
Yeah. So business wise, I would say the feel of my organization as a whole has really become more of like a round table feel versus I make the decisions, I'm in charge, everything has to be run through me kind of feel. Now, don't get me wrong, I do absolutely feel that, I'm still respected by the people that I mentor, and they run a lot of ideas by me, but I have gotten to the place where I know we all have separate skill sets, and I'm absolutely okay with admitting where mine begin and where they end, and delegating those things that are not in my wheelhouse. And that was something that was really big. I started automating small tasks that I kept taking the time to do over and over and over again. And finally, I guess just sharing it out loud to you and having that accountability made me take the 20 minutes longer to automate it, right?
Makes all the difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was nuts. And being able to have that soundboard to think, okay, who can I delegate this task to? What app can I use to automate this? Really made so much of my daily time now free to jump into the conversations, follow a creative thought or an inspiration, and focus on the tasks that reinvigorated me to do more creative tasks versus the tasks that totally squashed my creativity because I had to do math, So that was really big. So roundtable effect, automating tasks. And I will say too, the numbers to back up some of that. I think I had ran the numbers, and so December to January. So we started working together in December, and between December and January, it was a 26% growth overall in the organization.
Wow.
And the coaches that I work with noticed a difference in my style of coaching, because what was happening was I no longer was interested in raising up followers, but rather raising up other leaders. So I had less and less answers and more questions. And some of them, took a second to shift with me.
Yeah.
And because of course, the people that we work with or do life with in general are used to our old patterns.
Yeah.
And our pride gets a little bit of a hit when we can, tell people what to do and all this. But my job is to empower others.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the paramedic that's just picking up injured people. I want to have a team of other paramedics that can do far more than just me on my own picking up injured people, right? So those numbers represent a lot of shifts in my style of coaching, and also my team's receptivity to that style of coaching. So they got to throw their ideas in the bucket, and they got to try new things and see if it works. And if it did, great. If it didn't, great. What did we learn? And so that happened December to January. And then also there was another big jump February to March. So success is never a straight line. So there was 26% in December to January, and then there was a 21% growth February to March.
Wow.
So
would it be correct to say within the time period that we've been coaching, and again, I like to clarify this not only for us, but not because of me or anything, but within the time period, is that a 47% increase, if my math is right?
Over 2 periods. I mean, I don't know how to technically say that.
Right.
My business model, we measure month to month.
Gotcha.
But I think if you're looking at, like quarterly, I want to say that all falls within the same quarter. And yeah, I mean, either way, it's growth.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing. And it's cool to see the quantifiable too, you know what I mean? And how you can get it as far as that goes. One thing I wanted to touch on before you continue was the if it works, if it doesn't, what did we learn? Because that makes such the difference in being able to provide a team with the ability to experiment, to try new things, to be able to have a voice and not use their voice behind the scenes, whatever it might be. And so kudos to you stepping up as a leader in your organization in order to provide that, because all too many times we see disgruntled employees, organization members, or whoever, however you want to describe them, simply not be recognized. And that's the root of the problem. So being able to recognize and then empower your people rather than place the thumb on them and say, do as I say, not as I do, or just do what I say. It's like, no. I want you to be able to live your own life. And this is how you can do it, but you've got to figure it out for yourself. Right. And here are the questions that you can do it. So that's top notch. That's top notch. What else? Was there anything else to add to that particular stream?
I will say, as far as business goes, yes, the growth showed itself in its numbers, but also I do feel setting boundaries with myself. We kind of touched on this with the movies and the artwork, like putting that creative time aside, but then also knowing parenting wise that I needed to have those boundaries in place for the business. So agreeing to contribute during hours while kids are at school, but not during homework time and dinner time. because I do think
Yeah.
I had programmed myself out of that place of scarcity to be available, to be ready and willing, and go above and beyond at all hours of the day.
Yeah.
And again, for that season, that was necessary and it did pay off.
Right.
But for this season, I now have kids that are going into their preteen years. And if I ignore some of the things that I need to address in the moment, it's going to end up a bigger problem than it needs to be. And so now realizing, wait a second, like I need to take this time to be mom. And then what that actually does is it focuses my attention when I am business coach to be more on point and get done what I need to get done then. So yeah, again, that same rest principle and time blocking principle, I guess, as well.
Yeah, and self-management along with presence, whenever you're being mom, you're being mom. So whenever you're being business coach, you're not worried about being mom because you're being business coach, and whenever you're being Maria, then you can be Maria. So we all play roles. I've always loved that about the way Disney puts on their shows and whatnot. They don't call their employees, I believe they call them cast members, because you're always putting on a show, right? So just that little piece I love, because we're always in roles. We're always putting on a show, and it just depends on the type of show that we're putting on and who we're putting it on for. So when you're able to fully be present as that quote unquote character, then you're not worried about being quote unquote the other character when you're in this character. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So, and touching on that, I know that the relationship with your kids has even improved too through all of this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I set some boundaries around some of the things that were draining energy, and at the end of the day, I feel the best mom for my kids is a happy one.
Yeah.
And so therefore I had to run the decisions I was making through the filter of how much energy I had per day and where I wanted that to go.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I had to see a lot of relationships for what they were, people for what they were, and adjust accordingly, so that my energy is best directed towards the small people that need me now and the business leaders that are building their own companies and cultures, so that was really freeing as well, just being able to, like, I started with put myself and what I need first and know that everything else will work out on its own. Someone had told me even before I had gotten healthy, do what's best for you and it'll be best for those around you. And being a flaming codependent, I was like, no,
this won't happen. It's not going to work for me.
Right. 7 years later, I think I might kind of believe it now, so, right.
That's funny.
Yeah, I just kind of needed that reminder, because people
Right.
that benefited from you sticking to your old patterns are going to throw up a ton of resistance when you start changing them. And I did need that soundboard, that accountability, what you offered, like sending you a text message about, like, okay, what do you see here? And getting that feedback from the way that I saw it, it's from the place I want to go versus my thinking, because my thinking has gotten me where I am now.
Right.
So I needed that separate perspective. And yeah, anyway, it was good.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. So y'all who are listening, unfortunately for time constraints, we're going to shut it down right now, but we're going to have, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see, a part 2 in which we get to hear a bit more about Maria's journey. And one thing is, we can start to summarize this. I mean, it was all about taking a leap. It was all about moving into uncertainty, things that were uncomfortable, and then just allowing yourself to be open to possibilities. And what I've heard, right, from the couple of different people who I've worked with and who have really dove into this outside of my scope of practice, what I've learned is all about being comfortable with possibility, because in a sense, possibility is the opposite of scarcity, right? Like, I got to hold on to this because I don't know if I'm going to be able to get anything else. Where possibility is, why would I hold on to this? Because there's so much more out there. And it's like, ooh, that is a completely different way of operating, because I go from holding on something, right? For those that are listening, I'm clenching my fist and I'm making, like I'm holding on to something. So it goes from constantly holding and using muscles and constricting to allowing your hands to be open. A really good analogy would be whenever you're drinking water with your hands, right? You try to cup water, you can't have your hands closed like a fist because the water goes out. In order to have this life-giving nutrient, the thing that we need to survive, water, you have to have your hands open to receive. So what a blessing to have let yourself be open. You know what I mean? Like, you opened yourself up. So many people stay closed and asleep, or whatever word we want to use. So freaking high five to you. I'll poke you later if you want to go for a part 2 for sure. Is there anything that you want to leave us with in this particular podcast and conversation?
I think a good cliffhanger for part 2 would be fun.
Yeah, that's what I was about. We have such a similar mind.
Yes,
We didn't talk about this either, y'all, by the way. So I don't know what's coming, but I'm here for it.
So I have really learned through this process the beauty of becoming exactly who I am, and shining that to the audience that I want to attract, and having peace about that, knowing that when I step into exactly who I am, the right people will get on the bus and the wrong people will be repelled. And that's a good thing, and once you have the right people on the bus that have a similar vision to you, your capacity to impact as many people as possible literally multiplies. So I would really love to talk next time about shifting from the trying to please everybody and being vanilla and censoring myself to showing up authentically and knowing that today's market has totally changed. And not only is that the way in which to succeed in business, but it's also the way in which to actually be happy as you do, so cliffhanger right there.
All right, y'all, be sure to tune in for the next episode. We're gonna get it. I want to do, you'll be able to listen to it right off the bat. I'm not going to post one and make you wait for the other. So with that, immediately go listen to this next one. If you want to follow Maria, where can they find you, Maria?
Yes, so I am on Facebook as Maria Saia, and then on Instagram it's Maria, then 3_ Saia, and that's the best way to reach me. I don't check emails as often as I could. I'll be honest.
All right, y'all got it. Facebook, Instagram, and then I'll make a little link so that they can find you in the podcast bio thing. So with that being said, y'all that are listening, you are unstoppable. Thanks for being here. Share this out. Maria, you're unstoppable. Anything to leave us with?
Nope. Yep.
What we got?
I just have to say how quickly I've seen Eric show up for this whole thing, as I, threw 1,000 thoughts at him at once. And I jokingly, but not really jokingly, at one point said, you just have an answer for everything. So I just want y'all to rest assured that, when the student is ready, the teacher is 3 steps ahead and he's got you. So if any of this resonated with you, absolutely reach out to him as well.
Much appreciated. Have a great one. Y'all are unstoppable. We'll talk soon.